Today we're taking a look at these NBA matches, which are happening on Saturday, October 22nd, 2022, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. And if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. By becoming a member of the High Stakes Patreon, you will have access to our best team picks, total picks, parlay picks and much more. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Milwaukee Bucks vs Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets opened up the 2022-23 regular season with a 117-107 loss at Atlanta on Wednesday. The Rockets shot 43% from the floor, while the Hawks shot 50% from the floor. They also turned the ball over 15 times to 9 for Atlanta. The Rockets' big advantage was on the boards as they out-rebounded Atlanta by a wide margin, 54-38, with a 15-4 edge in offensive boards. But Atlanta made 20 free throws to 14 for Houston. The Milwaukee Bucks won their season opener on Thursday, beating the Philadelphia 76ers 90-88. The Bucks held a 10-point lead entering the fourth quarter, but the Sixers stormed back, led by James Harden. The Sixers clawed all the way back and took the lead in the final minute, 88-86. But Wesley Matthews put the Bucks up for good, draining a three-pointer with 23 seconds left to make it 89-88. Brook Lopez added a free throw in the final second to make the final 90-88. The Bucks are obviously the favorites here as one of the best teams in the NBA. The line is also likely higher because Houston is playing the second night of a back-to-back after facing Memphis on Friday night. But this is early season, and the Rockets have a lot of young legs on their team. They should not be impacted at all by the back-to-back games, even on the road. The Rockets have covered in 4 out of the 5 last meetings against Milwaukee and are 5-0 against the spread overall in their last 5 road games. Take the Rockets here getting the points. Our team pick is Houston plus 13 points. Houston played at home versus Memphis on Friday night, the first game in the team's first back-to-back action of the season. Jabari Smith, the 3rd overall selection in the NBA draft this past June, scored 17 points in his debut versus Atlanta. The power forward out of Auburn grabbed 7 rebounds, tied for second on the team after the first game. The Rockets out-rebounded Atlanta 54-38 and got 25 from their bench. Small forward Jason Tate missed his second game on Friday with an ankle injury, and his status for Saturday's game is up in the air at this point. He averaged 11.8 points per game last season. At the time of publication, Houston had not yet completed their game versus Memphis. This will update following that result. This series runs in streaks, the current one being the over, which has hit the last 4 times. This comes after a run of 5 straight unders. Houston has seen 6 of their last 8 games go over and have scored over 115.7 times in their last 10 games. The Rockets' defense should allow the Bucks to put in much more than the 90 they had versus the 76ers, and Milwaukee tends to do just that, scoring 126 or more in the last 5 matchups between the two. Our total pick is over 228.5 points. Dallas Mavericks vs Memphis Grizzlies. In the win against the Knicks, Memphis played great basketball for long stretches before seeing things unravel. The Grizzlies regrouped in overtime and managed to escape with a win, though they need to be sharper against the Mavericks. Memphis led by 2 after the opening quarter, outscored the Knicks 36-23 in the second quarter to take a 15-point lead at the half, and led by 18 early in the third quarter, only to see New York rally. The Grizzlies gave up the game-tying three-pointer with 3.3 seconds to play in regulation before outscoring the Knicks 7-4 in the extra session to prevail. Memphis shot only 38.9% from the field, including 17 of 50 from beyond the arc, and won the rebounding battle 64-54. Ja Morant led 5 Grizzlies in double figures with 34 points and 9 assists in the win. Santi Aldama contributed 18 points and 11 rebounds, filling in for the injured Jaren Jackson Jr. Desmond Bane kicked in 16, despite a 6 of 22 shooting night. Tyus Jones added 15 off the bench, while John Concher posted a double-double with 12 points and 11 rebounds in the victory. In the game, the Mavericks shot 46.7% from the field, including a 14 of 35 performance from three-point range, but doomed themselves by bricking 13 of their 34 free throw attempts in the game, while Phoenix converted 19 of 22 attempts. Luka Doncic led the Mavericks with 35 points, 9 rebounds and 6 assists in the victory, as one of 4 players scoring in double figures. Christian Wood contributed 25 points and 8 rebounds off the bench in his Mavericks debut, though he shot better from three-point range, 4 of 7, than at the charity stripe, 3 of 10, in the game. Spencer Dinwiddie contributed 15 points, while Rodney Bullock added 10 in the loss. Outside of Wood, the Mavericks bench failed to generate much in the way of offense. The remaining 3 players, Tim Hardaway Jr., Maxi Kleber and Josh Green, combined for just 12 points in 69 minutes of action. Both teams blew big leads in their season openers, though at least Memphis managed to put their game in the win column. The Grizzlies' issue here is that they are playing the second game of a back-to-back situation and their third game in 4 nights, which is bound to take a toll on them. Dallas has had 2 days to rest and prepare for this one after blowing a 22-point lead to the Suns. The Mavericks should have fresher legs to lean on, and Doncic is tough to stop in crunch time. Memphis hangs in for a while, but Dallas makes the plays down the stretch to come up with a victory here to even their record. Our team pick is Dallas Mavericks -5 points. The Grizzlies got off to a good start after defeating the Knicks in their first game of the season. They have lost their last 3 games against the Mavericks and will try to put an end to the streak with a win on Saturday, which will give the Mavericks their second consecutive loss. Memphis scored 115 points in its first game. They made 38.9% of their field goals and 34% of their three-pointers. Ja Morant led the way for Memphis with 34 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists. Santi Aldama finished with 18 points and 11 rebounds, while Desmond Bane added 16 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists. Memphis struggled defensively against New York, giving up 112 points. They are playing a very good offensive team and will need to do a better job if they want to win this game. The Grizzlies averaged 115.2 points per game last season and 113 points per game on the road. They scored 115 points in their first game and 90.6 points per game in their last 3 games against the Mavericks. With Dallas giving up 101.3 points per game at home last season and holding the Suns to 147 points in their first game, they will hold the Grizzlies under 100 points in this game. The Mavericks averaged 107.7 points per game last season and 108 points per game at home. They scored 105 points in their last game and 106.6 points per game in their last 3 games against the Grizzlies. They play at a very slow pace, averaging 98.8 possessions per game. Even though the Grizzlies gave up 112 points in their first game, the Mavericks won't score enough points to push the score over the total. The Grizzlies and Mavericks played under the total in their last 4 meetings. Our total pick is under the total. Denver Nuggets vs Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City is embarking on year 3 of its rebuilding process after finishing 24-58 under head coach Mark Daigneault last year. The Thunder drafted Chet Holmgren with the number 2 pick in June's draft, hoping he would bring the team back to relevancy immediately. However, he suffered a right foot injury in August during a pro-am game and is going to miss the entire season. The Thunder did land 2 other lottery picks in Jalen Williams and Ousmane Dieng, along with adding Jalen Williams at number 34. They still have point guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and 2021 number 6 pick Josh Giddey, but they won't look entirely different this year like the fan base had hoped. Denver is opening the season with 3 games in 4 days, but this story was published prior to the late-night tip at Golden State on Friday night. The Nuggets came up short at Utah in their season opener on Wednesday, trailing by 22 points at halftime, before making the score look slightly better in the second half. Star center Nikola Jokic led the way with 27 points on 12 of 17 shooting, but his assists, 6, and rebounds, 4, were not quite where he wants them to be. He averaged 27.1 points, 13.8 rebounds and 7.9 assists per game last season, winning his second straight MVP award. It is easy to look at these rosters and point out which team is better. It is much more difficult to figure out which team will cover the spread, but Oklahoma City is positioned nicely as an underdog. Denver is just now getting multiple key players back from injury and is getting set for its third game in 4 days to open the season, with this being the back end of a back-to-back following a late-night showdown in primetime at Golden State. Oklahoma City has had multiple days off since its season opener and returns most of its players from last season. The Thunder know who they are as a team, while Denver is trying to reignite its chemistry from 2 years ago. Our team pick is Oklahoma City to cover. Oklahoma City played hard in a 115-108 loss to Minnesota in the season opener. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 32 points, and Josh Giddey added 14 in Oklahoma City's first game of the year. The Thunder played good defense as well, holding a talented Timberwolves roster to 41% shooting from the field and 26% shooting from the three-point line. Oklahoma City is a very young team, and the Thunder won't make the playoffs this season, but this roster should be better this season than last year's disaster. The biggest surprise of opening night was the blowout of Denver by the Utah Jazz. Denver lost 123-102 to a Utah team that traded away Gobert, Mitchell, and many other of their key players from previous year's playoff teams. Michael Porter missed significant time last year, and Murray didn't play last season. Still, getting blown out by a depleted Utah roster was embarrassing for the Nuggets. Mike Malone is a good coach, and he is known for defense. The Nuggets should be better on that side of the ball in their season opener against an OKC team that is very limited offensively. The Nuggets are still building chemistry with Murray back and new addition like Caldwell Pope, but Denver should be fine on both sides of the ball against an OKC team that is rebuilding. Gilgeous-Alexander is Oklahoma City's only proven offensive player. Denver shouldn't have the defensive issues in this game that the team had in the season opener against Utah. Denver likes to play fast to take advantage of the altitude the team plays at, but the Nuggets also don't want to tire Jokic out. OKC will also be impacted by the altitude, and that should impact their shooting, particularly late in the game. Denver should be able to rebound defensively in this matchup. Our total pick is under 225 points. Sacramento Kings vs Los Angeles Clippers. The Los Angeles Clippers defeated the Los Angeles Lakers 103-97 in their season opener, thanks to an excellent defensive performance. The Clippers out-rebounded the Lakers 58-38 while holding their rivals to 35.1% shooting from the field and 20.0% from beyond the three-point line, 9-for-45. On the other side of the ball, the Clippers made 46.3% of their field goals and 31.0% of their triples, 9-for-29, turning the ball over a whopping 22 times. The Sacramento Kings started their 2022-23 campaign with a 115-108 home loss to the Portland Trail Blazers. In his debut at Sacramento's helm, Mike Brown saw his team allow 64 second-half points. The Kings forced just 11 turnovers and yielded 56 points in the paint while scoring only 38 in a return. The Clippers are a much better defensive team than the Trailblazers, so I'm expecting the Kings to drop another home game. LA possesses great depth. Both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are healthy, so give me the visitors and points. Also, this is a nice matchup for Ivica Zubac, who could easily have another big game. The Kings need to improve on both sides of the ball if they want to mount a serious playoff challenge. They've gone 1-16 straight up and 5-12 at TS in their previous 17 home encounters with the Clippers, who are considered the second strongest fave to win the Western Conference in 2023. The Los Angeles Clippers will have their eyes set on their second win of the season after outlasting the Lakers in a 103-97 road win on Thursday. Paul George led the team with 15 points, 10 rebounds and 4 assists. John Wall added 15 points of the bench, while Marcus Morris and Ivica Zubac each scored 14 points. As a team, the Clippers shot 46% from the field and 9 of 29 from the three-point line as they set the tone with 35 points in the first quarter to take the early 16-point lead, but it wasn't all smooth sailing as they had to regroup after the Lakers rallied to take the lead in the third quarter. Kawhi Leonard scored just 14 points in his 21 minutes of action, while Reggie Jackson scored just 8 points on 3 of 9 shooting. The Sacramento Kings are searching for their first win of the season after coming up short against the Trailblazers in a 115-108 loss on Wednesday. De'Aaron Fox led the team with 33 points, 7 rebounds and 7 assists. Kevin Huerter drained 6 three-pointers to add 23 points, while Domantas Sabonis chipped in with 13 points and 5 assists. As a team, the Kings shot 45% from the field and 17 of 44 from the three-point line as they poured in 32 points in the second quarter to take the lead going into halftime, but their defense let them down in the second half, where they allowed 64 points to end up on the wrong side of the scoreboard. Davion Mitchell had a night to forget as he scored just 2 points on 1 of 8 shooting and 26 minutes off the bench. Our total pick is over the total.